Volkswagen lost money on every single one they sold. Not a few, not the early ones. Everyone. They built a car to humiliate the Mercedes S-Class, spent like the budget was someone else's problem, and then watched buyers refuse to pay luxury money for a Volkswagen badge. That car now sells for the price of a high-mileage Corolla. And it is not the only one. There are 5 sedans on the used market right now that cost their makers a fortune to build, sold for a loss or close to it, and have depreciated into oblivion because nobody remembers what they actually are. After more than 2 decades under the hood, I can tell you these are the most over-engineered bargains on the road. Let's count them down. Number 5. The Audi A8 D2, the first-generation aluminum car built from roughly 1997 to 2003. Audi did something nobody else in the mass market dared to do. They built the entire body structure out of aluminum, a space frame they called the ASF, at a time when every competitor was still stamping steel. Think about what that meant from an engineering standpoint. Aluminum is lighter. It resists corrosion in a way steel never will. And it is brutally expensive to design, tool, weld, and repair. Audi poured an enormous amount of development money into proving the concept on a flagship sedan that most buyers would never even understand. They built a car that weighed less than its steel rivals while feeling like it was carved from a single block of metal. The catch, and the reason it never paid off the way Audi hoped, was that aluminum body repair required specialized equipment and specially trained technicians. A fender bender that would be a routine fix on a steel car became an expensive ordeal, and the used market never knew how to value the thing. That is your gain today, because a clean A8 D2 with the 4.2-liter V8 and Quattro all-wheel drive can be found under $5,000. And at that price, you are buying a genuine engineering milestone that the market has simply forgotten exists. The 4.2-liter V8 is a strong, torque-rich engine, but you have to go in with your eyes open. The timing chain tensioners on this engine are the known weak point, and a tensioner that lets go can take the engine with it. You want documented service history or you walk away. No exceptions. The aluminum multi-link suspension is fantastic when fresh, but it wears with age. A full set of control arms is not a cheap job because of the parts cost. Get underneath the car and look hard for any sign of crash repair, because aluminum that has been straightened or welded badly is a genuine safety concern, not just a cosmetic issue. This is a car for someone who knows what they are getting, can turn a wrench, or has a trusted independent shop, and wants to drive a piece of automotive history nobody else recognizes. It is not the car for someone who needs cheap, worry-free transportation. But if you understand it, the value on the table is staggering. Number 4. The first-generation Lexus LS400 from 1990 to 1994. Now I have to be straight with you here because the truth matters more than a tidy story. Toyota did not lose money on the LS400. It sold well, and it launched the entire Lexus brand into orbit. But the development cost of this car was so enormous, so far beyond what any rational accountant would have approved, that it earns its place on a list about over-engineering. Toyota spent like they were trying to bankrupt themselves just to prove a point to Mercedes and BMW. The legend is well documented. Toyota assembled a massive team of engineers and designers, gave them an almost impossible brief, and let them build hundreds of prototypes, testing engines to destruction in pursuit of perfection. The goal was to beat the German flagships on every single measurable axis at once, from cabin noise to aerodynamics to engine smoothness, and they largely pulled it off. The heart of the car is the 1UZFE, a 4-liter V8 that is one of the smoothest and most durable engines ever fitted to a production car. Toyota famously demonstrated it running at high revolutions per minute on a dyno with champagne glasses stacked on top of the engine, and the liquid barely moved. That engine routinely sails past 300,000 miles on nothing more than regular oil changes and timing belt service. And the timing belt is the one item you absolutely must respect, roughly every 90,000 miles. Because while the design is interference tolerant in practice for many owners, neglecting it is asking for trouble on any belt-driven V8 this old. A clean, well-kept LS400 from this era can genuinely be found under $5,000, and for that money, you get a hand-finished interior, a cabin so quiet it feels isolated from the outside world, and a drivetrain that will very likely outlast the body around it. When you shop one, confirm the timing belt and water pump history first. Listen for any rough idle or hesitation that points to deferred maintenance. Check that every power accessory and the climate control work, because while the electronics are reliable, they are also 3 decades old now. This is by far the safest, most bulletproof pick on the entire list, and the one I would hand to someone who wants the over-engineered experience without the over-engineered repair bills. Number 3. The Mercedes-Benz W124. The E-Class built from the mid-1980s through 1995. Ask 10 old-school mechanics what the last truly overbuilt Mercedes was, and most of them will point straight at the W124 without hesitation. This is the car Mercedes engineered before the accountants fully took the wheel, and you can feel it in every panel gap, every door that closes with a bank vault thunk, every component specified to last decades longer than the market ever demanded. Mercedes built these to a standard that turned out to be financially unsustainable. The company spent the years afterward deliberately engineering costs back out of its cars, because building them the old way was simply too expensive to continue. The W124 is the physical proof of what they walked away from. The engines are the real story, particularly the inline-6 gasoline units and the legendary diesels. The diesel W124s have a reputation for running well past 300,000 miles, and documented examples north of 400,000 and even 500,000 miles exist, and are not even considered remarkable in those circles. The build is mechanical, honest, and serviceable, which means a competent owner can keep one alive almost indefinitely. Under $5,000, you can find solid driver-quality W124 sedans, especially the gasoline 6-cylinder cars, which are simpler to live with than the diesels for most American buyers. When you inspect one, rust is your single biggest enemy, so check the floor pans, the jacking points, the rear subframe mounts, and the area around the battery tray very carefully. On certain early 1990s cars, there is a known issue with the engine wiring harness, where the insulation degrades and crumbles off the wires, and that is an expensive headache if it has not already been addressed, so ask and verify. Check for oil leaks, which these develop with age, and make sure none of them are serious enough to indicate real neglect. A good W124 is a car you buy once and keep for 20 years, and at this price, it might be the smartest old Mercedes money can buy. Number 2. The Mercedes-Benz W140 S-Class from 1991 to 1998. This is the car that genuinely cost Mercedes dearly, and the one that turned over-engineering from a virtue into a cautionary tale inside the company itself. The W140 was developed over a long, famously expensive program, and it arrived as the most complex and most over-engineered luxury sedan the world had ever seen. It was enormous, it was heavy, and it was stuffed with technology that the rest of the industry would not adopt for another 10 years, including double-pane window glass for sound insulation, doors that pulled themselves shut the last fraction of an inch, and antenna guides that rose out of the rear fenders so you could judge exactly where the back of this massive car ended. The engineering ambition ran so far beyond what was profitable that it became the internal example Mercedes used for years afterward of development cost gone wild, and the company tightened its belt hard in response. What that leaves you with today is a car built like a fortress, available for a tiny fraction of what it cost new. The V8 and the V12 cars are both out there, and a clean V8 W140 can be found under $5,000 if you are patient and willing to look. I will be honest with you, the V12 is a maintenance nightmare for the average owner. with twice the coils, twice the sensors, and repair bills that will genuinely make you wince. So for almost everyone, the V8 is the smart play. The W140 carries known issues you must check before buying. The wiring harness problem, the same crumbling insulation story as the W124, is the big one. On a W140, it is everywhere throughout the engine bay. Test the climate control thoroughly. The system is complex and the parts are not cheap. Inspect for rust in the usual Mercedes spots and confirm the suspension is tight. The components are heavy-duty and expensive to replace. The rule with this car is simple. Buy the best documented example you can find, not the cheapest one on the listing. Because on a machine this complex, a few $1,000s of deferred maintenance can quietly dwarf the purchase price. Number 1. The Volkswagen Phaeton. Sold in North America from roughly 2004 to 2006. This is the car that earns the title with no asterisk attached. Volkswagen genuinely lost money on every Phaeton they built. By most accounts, a substantial amount per car, because they engineered a no-compromise flagship to go head-to-head with the Mercedes S-Class and the BMW 7 Series. Then asked buyers to pay that kind of money for a car wearing a Volkswagen badge. The market gave a flat no. The people who wanted a $60,000 luxury sedan did not want a Volkswagen on the hood, and the people who bought Volkswagens were never going to spend S-Class money. So it failed commercially, and that very failure is exactly what makes it such a stunning used bargain today. The engineering behind it is the genuine article. The Phaeton was assembled in a purpose-built, glass-walled factory in Dresden, hand-finished in a way no ordinary Volkswagen has ever been. It has a sophisticated draft-free climate system, a body engineered to true luxury flagship standards, and depending on the version, a smooth and powerful V8 or the exotic, ferociously complex W12. A Phaeton today can be found well under $5,000, and people are consistently shocked at how much car they are looking at for the money. Here is the hard truth you have to internalize. This car is cheap to buy and expensive to own, and you must respect that gap. The air suspension components fail and are costly to replace. The electronics are dense and interconnected, and they can throw faults that take real diagnostic skill and the right equipment to chase down. The W12 in particular is a car only for someone with deep pockets or deep mechanical knowledge. So for the overwhelming majority of buyers, the V8 is the saner choice, though even it has a healthy appetite for maintenance. When you shop one, put documented service history above everything else. Test every single electronic feature in the car. Check the air suspension carefully for leaks and any corner that sits low. Budget for repairs before you ever turn the key. Buy a Phaeton because you understand and want exactly what it is. An over-engineered flagship the world rejected, not because it looks like a steal on paper. So there they are, 5 sedans that cost their makers a fortune in engineering pride, and in the Phaeton's case, real money on every single sale. The Audi A8 with its aluminum body that the market never understood. The Lexus LS400 that Toyota spent like a madman to build. The Mercedes W124, the last truly overbuilt E-Class before the accountants won the argument. The W140 S-Class that became a legend for runaway ambition. And the Volkswagen Phaeton, the flagship that lost money on every car and now sells for Corolla money. Every one of these is sitting on the American used market right now, and every one can be had for under $5,000 if you look. The catch with all of them, except the LS400, is that cheap to buy does not mean cheap to own. These are complex machines, and the smart move every time is to buy the best maintained example you can find and respect what it needs to keep running. But if you want to drive more genuine engineering than anyone has a right to for under $5,000, these are the cars nobody else is paying attention to. If this kind of straight talk helps you shop smarter, hit subscribe. I've got more coming on the cars that cost a fortune to build and pennies to buy. Like if it helped. Drive safe, take care of your car, and it will take care of you. I will see you in the next one.